Yo, what is going on YouTube? Today on the channel we're going to talk about how to make perfect paint drums replacements. So yeah, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into it. Alright, so we're in FL Studio, we have this beat open. First off, we're going to listen to the final beat and then I'm going to break down everything about the drum patterns, the arrangement and everything in between. So yeah, let's start.
Honestly, God.
Alright, so you probably already get a general idea of the beat. And yeah, first off, I'd like to shout out the person who made this loop. Shout out to Chef Chet G for making this beautiful loop, man. But yeah, let's get into the drums breakdown. So first off, as you can already hear, it has a very atmospheric, simple, chill kind of vibe to the drums. And that's exactly how I like to make my paint drums for replacement. So let's dive deep first into the 808. So this is the classic Spinch 808 and sound selection is extremely important if you want to get your drums right. So before you even start doing anything, make sure that you have good drum samples. And yeah, if you want the best industry quality drum sounds for your beats, the AyeVaboo Paint Multi-Kit bundle is available right now at nitraudios.com. It's the perfect kit for these kinds of beats. Not only does it have like drums, but it also has loops, guitar phrases, one shots, midis, everything you need for these kinds of melodies. So yeah, it's the perfect kit for you. But yeah, the 808 pattern, as you can see, it's very simple. Artists don't like too complicated 808 patterns. Like let's say I added like tons of notes like here, here, maybe over here, and here. Then let's listen to how it sounds. Yeah, it still sounds good to the listener, but to the artist, this sounds way too complicated. They don't have like enough pockets to rap on. It just gets very overwhelming for the artists and they tend to not like these types of beats. So make sure that your 808 patterns are simple, and this goes for all of the drums as well. The reoccurring theme and the main takeaway from this video that you should take is that simple beats get used more regularly by artists than the most complicated, like to the producer, good sounding beats. But yeah, make sure to keep your drums simple. That's going to transform your beats instantly. And as you can see, the 808 kind of has a break over here, and that's just to let the beat breathe a little bit, and that just leaves a lot more space to the artist, as I said earlier, and overall that's going to sound better in the final song as well. Alright, let's move on. So next off we have this hi-hat pattern, and this is my favorite part of the whole beat. And as you can see, the most like weird part about this hi-hat pattern is this pause over here. And why did I leave the pause over here? Same thing that is on the 808s, just to let the beat breathe a tiny bit. So let's listen to the 808 and the hi-hat at the same time so you can get an idea of what I was trying to look for with the breaks in this beat. Adding those tiny breaks leaves so much space for the artist, and they love when a producer is thinking of an artist and not the listener, because that's what makes great music, is when the artist actually has space on the beat and he can add all of the crazy ad-libs and stuff, and overall leaves way more space for the artist's creativity. That's why I added these tiny pauses on the beat. Alright, next off, the clap and the counter snare. These are not going to be too crazy, just a very basic clap pattern, don't need to break that down. Then I have this counter snare, and this one is very simple as well. Let's take a listen. Yeah, very typical trap type of counter snare pattern. Only thing I would say is different from the typical is that I removed this from over here. This is what it sounds like if I had added that note as well. So I didn't want to do that, so I left this space empty, but I added another counter snare over here. And you can think of the counter snare as just adding bounce. I found it to be the perfect tool if you want to have a lot of bounce in your beats, the counter snare and the percussions. But I love to add my counter snares on these parts, and over here I just mixed it up a tiny bit. So next off we have a percussion and a open hi-hat. Usually when I add my open hi-hats, I like to think of my 808 pattern. Where does the 808 hit in the 808 pattern? pattern. That's where I place my open hi-hats. This one adds a lot of bounce as well. So let's listen to the 808 and the open hi-hat at the same time. These open hi-hats are there just to add some bounce and accentuate the 808 as well. But yeah, as you can hear, we have some 808 notes playing on this bass as well, but I didn't want to add the open hi-hat over there. This just kind of even further enhances the pause effect that is very prevalent on these drum patterns as well. And yeah, here's the percussion that I added. This one is there just to add some more bounce. This is what it sounds like. You don't probably even hear it, but it's these three kind of like rim shots. And yeah, as you can hear, they are in a ascending order, and how I do it is I just click my right mouse and I drag it across like this, and this is what creates the ascending velocities perfectly. The percussions are very simple as well. You don't want to go too crazy, but you would definitely want to add them just for some added bounce. Just keep it simple, and I'm sure that you're going to make great percussion patterns. Alright, so lastly on the beat we have this kick, and I just placed it on the playlist for some reason, but as you can see, it's the same pattern, that is the open hi-hat pattern, just accentuating the first three 808s. They are also accentuating the chords that are on the sample. Very basic kick pattern as well, and that's what you want to do in your beats. So next beat you make sure that you make the drums simple. This is a challenge to you. Make the most basic drums that you can do and keep them very simple. Only thing I would say is to go crazy on is the hi-hats, but as you can see over here as well, I'm not even going too crazy on the hi-hats. I'm just adding some lower pitch notes, some rows over here, then this pause, and yeah, not too crazy, but definitely try to spice them up a tiny bit just so the beat is not that boring. One more thing about the hi-hats is play with the velocities on certain notes. As you can see over here, I have a note that is lower on velocity. Let's see what it sounds like. That's another great way to add bounce to your beats, because you could think of the hi-hat as kind of like a shaker that you would play like. They create a lot of bounce to a lot of songs. Why not use the same trick on pain beats as well? For me, it seems to work perfectly, for example, on this beat. That's just something to think about and to try out in your next beat. Now that we have broken down the drums, let's talk a tiny bit about the arrangement. So this one is really important. A good arrangement can be a reason why an artist uses your beat versus doesn't use your beat. And we have a video coming up about the genius of NBA Youngboy's production, and one of NBA Youngboy's producers is going to break down his placement with NBA Youngboy, and he's going to talk a lot about the drums and the arrangement. But yeah, let me go over it very quickly on this video as well. So as you can see on the first part of this, I would say hook, we have almost all of the drums playing. When we get to the second part, the hook, the kick comes in, and that's what creates kind of like evolution within the beat. That's one thing you want to think about. Keep your beat evolving, keep it changing. You don't want it to be the same thing just playing for 3 minutes. It's going to be the most boring beat ever. So the beat keeps on evolving, and over here is the verse part, and I did a cool trick that I don't see a lot used in a lot of beats. So I added a tiny break over here, and this is what it sounds like. Yeah, to me that just sounds very beautiful and kind of like creates a easing feeling. I don't know how to describe it better, like breaks the tension that is on the beat. And yeah, I added this tiny pause on the beat. Then I break the pause by bringing back this counter snare, hi-hat, and this riser. Let's listen to it without the riser because it really affects it a lot. Versus with the riser. Don't be afraid to use like effects and risers on your beat, because they are what keep the beat interesting in my opinion. Is to add some tiny effects, but once again, don't go too crazy, just keep it simple and add 1 or 2 like effects here and there. Then I just let everything play, and once again over here the kick comes back in on the second part of the verse, but I took away the 808 just to let the beat breathe a tiny bit. Then we have a bridge over here. It's just the intro one more time but without the drums, and then we just copied everything over like this, and the beat is finished. Just to make the video a bit more valuable, I'd like to talk about the role of melody in your beats as well. So you probably would want to start out the beat with your most busy part of the melody, maybe the vocals, saxophone, guitars, everything, stuff like that. But when you get to the hook and the verse, you definitely want to start taking instruments out just to leave space for the artist. For example, if you have a beat, say it has a piano, guitar and saxophone, maybe take out the saxophone over here on the hook, but on the second part of the hook, maybe bring it back in. Then on the melody, take away the guitar and the saxophone, then bring back the guitar, for example, on the second part of the hook. Second part of the verse. Then when we approach the bridge part, bring back every instrument again, and then again copy everything over like this. And yeah, taking away instruments and drums and stuff like that is very important to make interesting beats, because that is what is going to get the beat to keep evolving and like changing up and not be the same most repetitive, like most boring beat that you could think of. That's honestly what has gotten me my placements. I don't have any major placements yet, but I have some tiny ones with great artists and some unreleased songs, and they are usually very basic beats with just interesting arrangement, you know, taking stuff out, bringing them back in. That's definitely something you should want to do in your beats, in my opinion. And just to finish off the drums, let's talk about mixing. So the most important part about your mix, in my opinion, is the master presets. So what I did is I went to the AyeVaboo Multikit version 2 and I took out this loud and clean mix, essentially just a soft clipper, limiter and a parametric EQ. But the most important thing, in my opinion, is this soft clipper. Make sure that you have it on your master chain. This is the perfect effect chain, in my opinion, if you want to make your drums hit cleanly, hard, and just be industry quality on the mix side as well. But yeah, let's move on to the actual like mixing and leveling and stuff like that. So let's play the beat and watch the levels for a tiny bit. Overall, my tip to you is to just make everything loud. Not too loud, but audible. So oftentimes when I'm like helping beginner producers improve their mix, they have, for example, the hi-hat like way too low, and they think that, all right, now it's good, but this is what it sounds like if it's way too low. Way too low. So make sure that your hi-hat and every other drum is audible. For the hi-hat, I like to aim somewhere between -9 and -12 dBs, but don't go over that. In my opinion, this is the perfect space for the hi-hat if you are using this master chain. Then for the 808, I have two types of mixes for the 808. First off is a beat without the 808. I like to aim somewhere between -3 and 0 dBs. But if I have a kick and I wanna get like a more clean mix, then I aim somewhere around -6 and -9 decibels. For this beat, it's just over -6 decibels. Then the clap, I like to, depending on the clap sample, I like to aim it somewhere around -3 to -6 decibels. But in this beat, I had it at -9 because the clap sample was kind of different from what I usually use. And the counter snare, I like to have it just below the clap. So like -9, -12 dBs is perfect, at least in my beats, in my opinion. Then everything else I like to mix by ear. I like to have them audible but not too loud. It's just trial and error, listening to the beat in different devices, you know, just listen to it on your phone, in the car maybe, on your speakers, and just try to find nice places for everything. And one thing that helped me improve my mixes a lot is just listening to music, and especially the instrumental versions of, let's say, like Future's production. Trying to achieve a similar sounding mix, especially with the levels of the drums, and that's what helped me achieve a good mix when I was starting out making beats. The melody, I like to have it somewhere around -9 to -12 dBs as well. And yeah, this was definitely a different type of video. Let me know if you want to see more like this in the future. As I said, we have a NBA Youngboy producer coming on the channel to break down 2 of his placements with NBA Youngboy. That is going to be crazy, and I'm working hard to make that video as good as possible for you guys. But yeah, we are approaching the end of the video, and one more time, the AyeVaboo Multikit bundle is available right now. It's the perfect kit if you want to make these beautiful paint beats and loops. Honestly, it has everything you need for these kind of melodies. For example, it has over 100 placement ready guitar phrases played by professional guitarists to make your melodies stand out with the guitars. And yeah, it has has tons of other stuff as well. I can show you like real quickly. Drum breaks, drum kit, drum fills, loop kit. It just keeps going, man. It's honestly the best kit you could have for these paint beats at the moment. But yeah, the Outward Paint Multi-Kit version 3 is going to be out soon as well, so keep an eye out on that. But without further ado, if you like the video, like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below what you want to see next on the channel. See you in the next video. Peace.